Gentlemen, guys, turn around. As you said, I listened to that song over and over and over and over and over and over again. All right, that's enough of the music for this video. Bonnie Tyler, ladies and gentlemen, need to say this because I wanted to say it yesterday and it didn't come out. And there was a lot of frustration yesterday with people because somebody said it's a new year and people are still acting like that. And I'm like, well, what do you think? It's a full moon. No, it's not a full moon. It's a full moon. That's why they're acting like this. And it's the dawning of the age of Aquarius. That's why they're acting like this. No, they're acting like that because that's what people do. Lord have mercy. Some of you are amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, the person took exception. And yes, I'm talking about this because you all need to know what goes on in the background. The only person, no one else, person took exception to the limited power of attorney. Told everybody from the day one, we did a limited power of attorney so that you could understand that we would never take from you. That's why it's limited. That leaves, pay attention, you in control. It's limited. Sorry. It's obvious that people don't understand what the word limited power of attorney. Did you say word? Then you just said 5 words together. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a legal term. Limited power of attorney. Hold on. When you signed those bank documents and you did the closing, how come you didn't object to giving them power of attorney in fact and waiving all your rights? No, 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 hold on. How come you didn't scrutinize those documents when you were at closing? Don't say a word. Just sit up there and look at yourself in the mirror and tell me how asinine, that's right, I said it, that is. You're in this situation because you didn't look at the paperwork in the first place, but then you want to question us because we're looking out for your interests. As I said, this is YouTube. There are people talking and saying all kind of stupid things about me on YouTube. Go ahead. That don't even know me. But you don't have anybody saying I've ever taken from them or tried to take their property or tried to take possession of their junk. Go ahead. I dare you. Find a single person that says I've taken money from them in any one of our programs with any one of our organizations. And not only will I give them their money back upon that proof, but guess what? I'll stop doing this altogether. And you guys know I'm a man of my word. Go ahead. Go ahead. Because at that point, then I am, if I've ever done that with any one of the programs we have done on YouTube, that I have advertised on YouTube, that means that I would be a hypocrite. That means that I'm not a servant of Jehovah. That means I brought reproach on my God's name. That means that I am not true to my word. That means that I am a fraud and a liar. That's exactly what that would mean if that were true. But you won't find a single person. I dare you. I'll even do a video with the idiot who would say I did something like that to them. We have had people who, pay attention, they didn't get our program, they got a program from somebody else. And we honored it. We even told you guys on video that we were doing that. We didn't have to do that, but we did. Why? Lord have mercy. There is no reason or rhyme for it. Yes, I'm still stuck on this. Somebody made exception to a limited power of attorney. Said they didn't appreciate the comment. The reason why the comment is in there about your assets and your property, in order for us to speak on your assets and your property, it has to be included in there. But in order for you to have your protection, is the statement that we are not ever to seize control of your assets and or property. That was done intentionally. Then you have me saying on video, so it's documented, that that's not our intent and we would never do something like that. That's your assurances. Then you have these videos now saying the same thing. So that if we ever tried, it gets defeated and we lose. By the way, even the arbitrator will come to that conclusion. That's why the document has an arbitration clause. The arbitrator doesn't rule in my favor because please, I told you guys I had an arbitration and the person sat up there and gave me the most. I can't complain about it because the arbitrator, I chose to go by what the arbitrator said, and I can't complain. And I need you all to understand, all the arbitrators are independent. They make their decisions independently. They do not make their decisions based on whether they like me or not. I couldn't run an organization that way. My conscience wouldn't allow it. It wouldn't be fair. That would be stupid. That's what those other organizations do. That's what the courts do. I don't play that stuff. Let me explain to you guys, ladies and gentlemen. I am one of Jehovah's Witnesses. We live off of integrity. This ain't no Marines, their little so-called motto. We don't, as a Jehovah's Witness, I don't have a motto. As a Jehovah's Witness, I have an obligation to serve my God with a complete heart, to the best of my ability. And I can't do that if I'm sitting up here sinning against my brother. Go ahead. Going on 30 years. Nobody can attribute nothing stupid to me. 30, oh, well, almost 30 years. We're not quite 30 years yet, but 30 years almost. And yet I have somebody who doesn't even know me or know my organizations, not taking the time. They said they read it, not taking the time to read and understand. I don't understand it. To the point where I told the person, hey, enough. Because they were going back and forth, questioning everything. I don't have time for that. It's already taken too much time out of my life just focusing on why would somebody do that. And the reason why it upsets me more so than anything else, because you want to do that with us, but you didn't do that with anyone else. You didn't question anyone else. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to switch subjects, because there are a couple of things that I want to talk about, including this 315 form. I have to do some changings because the form that we gave you guys with all of my additions in it, well, many of these boxes you can't type in because, they got some restrictions. So this is only the one page, ladies and gentlemen, on purpose, but I want to combine it and add it. So we created that other tax document for you, but I noticed that you can't type in here, so you're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. But this was done with Adobe. And so now I gotta get the Adobe instructions for how to convert that so that all of the fillable sections remain. If not, I'll create a document that has fillable sections. Okay? All right. I was watching a video last night, ladies and gentlemen. I watched a couple of YouTube videos because it was raining, and with this storm that's coming through now is a lot of rain. This storm that's coming through now is a lot of rain, and it's heavy rain. As a matter of fact, my dogs almost got flooded out. And I'm not kidding you. So it's a lot of rain, but it's only about 7 hours worth of rain. For us, it was 7 hours worth of rain, but by the time it gets over to Texas, Mississippi, Kansas, Oklahoma, you guys are going to be getting at least a full day's worth of rain. And it's got a lot of wind. God, this thing has got wind with it. Okay? So that's just to let y'all know. But I was watching the video. I digress. And while I was watching the video, did you say you digest? Digress? What's a digress? Oh, readers. Okay. Anyway, and the video was on a guy, and they were talking about police, and the police was telling the guy he needed to move because he was trespassing, and that the manager of the facility told him he needed to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I was in a court building. You know, the police arrested me for trespassing when the staff, I was waiting to speak to the administrator of the court. They knew I was waiting, and the police arrested me, held me in jail for a night, saying I was trespassing. I haven't forgotten about that. That was Arizona. You can't trespass in a public building, nor can they order you to leave a public building unless you're causing a nuisance. And ladies and gentlemen, in most places, disturbing the peace involves physical contact altercations, a fight of some sort, but just sitting there. Now, one guy told him, "Oh, no, no, I'm going to sit and rest for 3 hours because I'm allowed to take a rest." And the officer looked at him, "Well, if you're still here in 5 minutes, oh, no, 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 no. Let's cut to the chase. 5 minutes? Okay, let's go ahead and get rid of the 5 minutes because I would love you to lose your so-called absolute immunity." Now, I wouldn't do that, ladies and gentlemen. There's no need to challenge the idiots, so I wouldn't do that. But the guys who are doing this, confronting the police, putting them in check, I can't really speak as to that. It's not something I would do, going around just confronting the police. Not every police officer is bad. No, I know, I know, I know. Not every police officer, but at least 80% of them are. No, I didn't joke. I'm not joking at all. At least 80% of them are. Why? Because 80% of them see what's going on, they see what's wrong, and they are conspirators. They are accomplices. So at least 80%. Because they see their so-called brother doing wrong, because they call themselves brothers. They see their so-called brothers doing wrong, and they stand and they watch it. Let me let you know, and I'm going to tell it to you like it is. That's why I couldn't be one of them, because I couldn't stand by and watch it. And one of my fellow officers, if I carried a gun, people, if one of my fellow officers even attempted to try to shoot my way, to try to put me in my place, I promise you, whoo-wee, y'all be talking about it for the next several decades. Everybody, man, do you remember when such, man? Okay, that's what they would be talking about. That's why I can't carry a gun. No, 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 I wouldn't go after the so-called wannabe criminals for shooting at me and blah, blah, blah. I could care less. That's a criminal. But a police officer who I'm supposed to be a part of that group, and they don't like it because I didn't side with them and they want to come at me stupid? I don't think so. Now, getting back to the video, ladies and gentlemen, the police officer asked the person for ID and they were walking on the street. Now, look, ladies and gentlemen, the Supreme Court has said that you must display ID. So they ask you, what is your name? Oh, well, for the sake of this conversation, my name is Tim. For the sake of this conversation, my name is E. For the sake of this conversation, my name is John. For the sake of this conversation, my name is Tiny. What's yours? Well, I'm glad you have a name. Now, look, I'm leaving. No, no, no. You don't get to detain me under no suspicion. You identify the suspicion, or I come after your so-called wannabe absolute immunity. We're not playing this game no more. You don't get to just stop me while I'm pursuing happiness. That's interfering with my secured right. I'm gonna go back to pursuing happiness because I've been chasing it for so long, and I think I'm finally catching up to it. So would you get the out of my way so I can go and catch up to happiness? Because man, it's so elusive. And now you're interfering with me pursuing happiness, and I have the right to pursue happiness. Go ask Will Smith, okay, and that little black boy that he slapped out of last year. I'm sorry. I apologize. Um, I said it because I just mentioned Will Smith again. And this is what I will say about Will Smith. I'm not a, look, please understand, I'm not a fan of Will Smith. I can't stand what he's done to his children, what he's allowed to happen to his children. I can't stand, but I don't hate or dislike Will Smith. I think Will Smith is a all right person. I think some of his philosophies are way backwards. And that's because he listens to certain people. However, with that being said, can't nobody talk about a single movie that Will Smith has done that's a piece of crap, including Hitch. Okay? Can't nobody look at a single movie that Will Smith has done and say, oh man, that's the Fresh Prince. No, 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 no. Y'all don't get it. Can't nobody say that Will Smith has played the same character several times. As I told people with Denzel Washington, you know that's Denzel Washington. That's why people make fun of him when he gets upset. He always says the same thing. He always has the same expression when he gets upset in a movie, but not Will Smith. Every movie you see, he plays the character. But hold on, he was a rapper. That's not how he started. He started as a rapper, and yet, literally, arguably, one of the greatest actors of all time. And because he slapped a black man, he didn't slap him. Go back and look. He pulled back on it, but that's not here nor there. He did it because when you join the industry, you don't get to that point without owing somebody a favor. Ladies and gentlemen, 10 months later, and people like me are still talking about it. 10 months later, March is almost here. The March of Dimes? No, March, I think it was March 4th, but it's almost here. Or to be a full year since the infamous slap heard around the world, is what they call it. Because they had to make a big deal about it. The news media needs something to hype on. But everybody talked about the Oscars. Look at their ratings. Watch their ratings this year, and they're going to talk about those ratings and how much those ratings are. Ladies and gentlemen, that's 3 hours of nothing. 3 hours of nothing. Nobody watches the Oscars anymore. There's nothing to watch it for. So what? Somebody got an award. Yay. And you want millions of people to watch that junk? It's not entertainment. So what? You got a comedian up there and they're making jokes. Big deal. You got actors and actresses giving speeches. Oh well. Yeah, that's what I pay to go see. Nobody watches the Oscars because they're boring. Best cinematography and best director sitting in a chair for 8 hours while ordering and yelling people to do things goes to, on the Life Achievement Award, goes to Macaulay Culkin for his role in Home Alone 2. Yeah, 40 years ago. Okay, that's the Oscars. Nobody wants to see that junk. It's not entertaining. That's why people don't watch it. But they can't figure out a way around it. Do you know why they can't figure out a way around it? Because what they haven't done is done it the real way. They haven't taken those scenes from the movies that are being nominated and they haven't made a parody of it. Ladies and gentlemen, if they were to come in and take the scenes from the movies that are being nominated and do a Saturday Night Live type of parody, I promise you people will watch it. They'll laugh about it and the ratings will go up and people would actually go and watch the stupid films. But they're not going to do that because they're going to think that somebody's making a joke of the Oscars, which is why the Oscars will always be a piece of junk. And so, what did they need? Well, they needed the highest paid actor in the world to sit up there and make a fool of himself. Again, go back and look. Will Smith is not crying because he slapped a little black man. Will Smith is crying because he knew that that would ruin his reputation. The reputation of him and his family. That's why he was talking about his family. Remember, Chris Rock didn't say anything about Will Smith's family. He only said something about G.I. Joe 2. I mean, he mentioned Jada's name by name. Now, pay attention. He did mention Jada by name. Okay? He mentioned her by name. Keep my wife's name out your mother, because it wasn't supposed to be about Jada. It was supposed to be about Will Smith. That embarrassing moment was supposed to be about Will Smith. You can see, pay attention. Wait, hold on. We're going to do this just for a second, and I'm going to get on off and finish telling y'all. PREOSCAR. Okay, pre-Oscar. RE. I want y'all to pay attention. You see this dress rehearsal, pre-Grammy rehearsal, pre-Academy Award rehearsals, Grammy Award rehearsals. What y'all need to understand is before Chris Rock got up there and said that, they do a rehearsal. They do a walkthrough several times. It is not a surprise. But Will Smith was surprised because it was only supposed to be about Will Smith. It wasn't supposed to be about his wife, Jada. Will Smith was the one who was supposed to be taking one for the team. That's my opinion. Now, it's not just my opinion. You see other people saying the same thing, but other people who are in the industry. What I can give is my opinion from a distance. From a distance. Oh, Beth Midler. Anyway, I can give it from a distance. Do you know why I can tell it to you from a distance? Because all I did was watched it, and it was obvious. Will Smith, hold on. WILLSMITH. Will Smith's training for Ali. Training Will Smith for Ali. Okay, y'all need to understand something. Will Smith trained for Ali. Y'all need to understand. Every boxer knows that when you take and swing to punch somebody, you always plant your dominant foot. Your first foot goes down. That's why you see most right-handers, they plant their right foot and then they follow through with the right hand, coming off their right foot. Will Smith, go back and look at the so-called infamous snap, he planted his left foot. He trained to make it look Will Smith's workout and diet. He trained to make it look authentic as him being a boxer. And look, hey, even when he played Ali, go back and watch it. When he played Ali, it wasn't Will Smith. You did not think he was Will Smith. You did not say, oh man, that's Will Smith playing Ali. Yeah, you can look at the face and see it was Will Smith, but the character that he portrayed, he did a good job. I'm only saying this to let you know that that training doesn't go away. Oh, let me do this for you. Hold on. We're not gonna play the whole thing. I'm gonna show it to you. I don't know what I was thinking about. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna show it to y'all. Okay? I'm gonna shows y'all. Okay? That's Will Smith. Hold on. You see that right there? What foot is he planting? If he really wanted to slap Chris Rock, he wouldn't have done it with his left hand. If he really wanted to slap Chris Rock, he doesn't use his left hand. Look at that right there. That's the force he could have hit that man with. That's Will Smith. Okay? All I can tell you is I could see it was a joke to begin with. I could see it wasn't real. I could see he pulled back. Okay? I could see that. But everybody else was too busy watching the man with the yellow balloon. Ladies and gentlemen, I stopped it right there to let you see he swings. See, look at that little tap tap. Okay? Tap tap and then right hand. That's Will Smith. And he is on his right foot. He's planting his right foot, not his left. Go back and watch that thing with Chris Rock. And this is training. So what happens with training? Everybody knows the way you train is the way you do in all actuality. So because they rehearsed, oh, look at that, he tried to go southpaw. So he can't go southpaw when he wants to, but he's still planting his right foot. He's still planting his right foot, people. So that's how I know that that slap was fake. He did it. He did a good job because he convinced the whole world. Why? Because the industry will always come back and ask for their pound of flesh. I mean, I do, my own opinion, believe in the sacrificing of individuals and their family members who join the industry, who quote unquote sell their so-called souls. I don't believe in the way that everybody else says it, but I do believe that nobody gives you. How much has Will Smith made? $20 million a movie. How many movies has he made? That he got paid at least $20 million a movie. And how many endorsements? Okay, you don't get that without having to give up something. So there you go. Now that you know, I should have did this when it first happened, but I didn't want to cause the man any problems because you could see that there was a great sacrifice. You could see that there was a great sacrifice. Okay, as I told you guys, when Will Smith hit Chris Rock, there is no way in the world that he was going to pull back on that punch the way he did. Now, if you look at him, every time he swings, he's planting his right foot and coming through like he just did there. Okay? Like he just did there, planting his right foot and coming through. So that's boxing. That's how they're trained. So there's no way in the world he's going to sit up there and take a slap at that man and with his left hand when he's right-handed, and you see every right punch is where he's using his strength to punch. And all of these moves you see him doing right now is him watching Ali and mimicking Ali. Every single punch you see him throwing right now, he is watching a film of Ali and he's mimicking Ali. And the only reason why I know that exactly, even that right there, because that's Ali and Joe Frazier. Go ahead, go back and watch it, and you'll see that's exactly Ali and Joe Frazier. Because they're reacting or reenacting the Ali Joe Frazier fight. Don't take my word for it. Go back and watch. I've seen it. I'm not into boxing no more, but I remember this. Hold on. I remember Smoking Joe. Now watch this. And here it comes. 1, 2, and then watch this. Click, click. Oh, get up. Now remember, he didn't even hit him. Hold on. Let me show you. And then you'll see the little crossing of the feet, the little shuffle that Muhammad did all the time. Now watch this and watch. He doesn't even hit. He doesn't even hit him. And now he falls. And watch the shuffle. There you go. Okay. Planting of the right foot. He's off balance here. He shouldn't have done that because he's definitely off balance. The stance is too far. So if he's going to come through, he's off balance. But remember, he's coming through with the right. So let me show you. Okay. So for those of you who watch that junk, and you didn't understand boxing, you didn't understand this man trained profusely for this Ali, because it was one of the biggest movies of his career at the time. And he was a fan of Ali, and he wanted to do Ali a solid as a rock. So, as I say it again, since some of you don't understand, if you believe that Chris Rock thing, and if you believe that was real, and if you believe all of that, the anger between the two was real, please. What happened with Chris Rock? All of a sudden, his tour, the price of his tickets goes through the roof. He got his, and he's going to forever get his. Why? Until they embarrass him. Look, ladies and gentlemen, they've gone after everybody. They've gone after Bill Cosby, embarrassed him profusely, only to find out, if you guys go back and listen to what happened with Bill Cosby, all of that was a lie. No, 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 no. Doesn't matter what the woman said. It was, the whole process was a lie. It was illegal. Whatever they're claiming he did in the 80s, statute of limitations was up. He couldn't go to jail for that. Statute of limitations was up. The Supreme Court of Pennsylvania already decided that. And they had a deal that they wouldn't prosecute him. That was all done to do the same thing, because there's something he didn't do that he was supposed to do. And that's what they put him through. Okay? Got to understand the industry. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you this. For every single person who has a mortgage with us, we're going to be assigning tax credits for each one of those mortgages. You won't have to assign it. We are going to assign it. That's why there's a power of attorney. There has to be a relationship in order for us to do it. You feel me? No, no, wait. Hold on. You didn't pay for that, did you? Tax credits are dollar for dollar. You didn't pay for that, did you? But I got somebody telling us that we're trying to take something from them. Tax credits are dollars. Hold on, because some people don't understand. We're going to put this in quotations because we got some people that don't understand. Sorry, you all have no idea how upsetting that was to me. It's always been my thing. Pay attention. Always been my thing. Pay attention, to give people more than what they paid for. And somebody accused me of trying to take more from someone. They're trying to take something from someone. I got a staff member. I have some people whom I've known in the past, and our relationship didn't end like it should have. I have friends that I grew up with that we were best friends. We're not best friends anymore. I am going to transfer credits to each one of them, give them a nice little letter explaining it and letting them know there will be more to come. Pay attention. We know that all dollars spent on tax credits are dollars we cannot invest in other critical priorities. This is the Senate saying that. Tax credits are dollars. Tax credits are dollars. Tax credits are dollars. It's a dollar for dollar reduction, but it's still dollars. This is the same Senate meeting. Dollars spent on tax credits. This was 2012, ladies and gentlemen. Tax credits are dollars. So if they are dollars, we have a program. Pay attention. If you can receive credits per child, why can't you use your credits to pay off your child support? We have a program that we're implementing into our AmeriLegion group. Even though the people are getting their tax credits for each one of those debts, we're also going to assign tax credits to offset the debt. That's what we're doing. We're not going to talk about this much now. I wasn't even supposed to let you guys know this is what we were doing. But you didn't pay for this, people. But that's why each one of you, with AmeriLegion and with AMCF, that's why you signed the limited power of attorney. That's why you're part of a trust. And it is the trust that is assigning that, because it's a debt. And the trustee has the authority to pay debts related to the trust, because the trustee must protect the trust. If you don't believe me, go and do your research. So the next time any one of you, and I'm being serious, I'm really tempted to give that person back their money and tell them to get away from us. Really tempted to do that. You all have no idea how much that hurts. That after all of this, almost 10,000 videos of explaining stuff to people, that somebody think that this man is so petty that he would try to do something with their property, trying to compare me to those other mother that's out there to take advantage of you. We provide documents on our website that are free, but academia and all these other websites take the same documents from our website, and what do? They charge you for it. What? But no. Everybody else charges you for PDFs, but you go to our site and you got thousands and thousands and thousands of PDFs. Over 40 gigabytes. We had over 90 gigabytes of PDFs. Okay, we're back up to just about 40, but we could add more, but that's not what that is for. We don't maintain it. We just keep it there for you. Everybody else is selling access to PDFs. Why? We're not in this for that, people. So the PDFs are there for you. It's free. We put the information on the web for you, and we're constantly trying to improve things for you. And then we have people saying that they believe that we're going to try to take something from them. How can you take something when you're constantly giving something? It doesn't make any sense, does it? So again, those of you who have tax credits, those of you who receive tax credits, you must understand that you received dollars. But hold on, because the tax credits come from a debt, this is a business expense. It's a net operating loss. So you report it as that, as a loss or as an expenditure, as if you spent the money. Because why? When you loan money to someone, pay attention. The IRS lets you know when you loan money to someone and they don't pay you back, then you have a bad debt. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when somebody owes you money and you tell them, hey, bye bye, I forgive you. You don't owe the monetary portion anymore. Bye bye. And you give them a cancellation of debt, 1099A, 1099C, then you get to write that off. But if you transfer that to someone else, pay attention, they get to write that off. It's still a debt. It doesn't convert to an actual gain because you transferred it to someone else. It's still, its origins is that of a debt. And because it's never been applied to the credit of someone else, it still gets written off as a loss. That's what the woman did that we told you about when it had $70,000. Defrauded Homeowners of America. We're getting ready to go into court. As I told you guys, what we're getting ready to do hasn't been done before. It's taken me years to figure out how to do this, and I know I got it. I just now need to put together the paperwork. That's what the rest of these days are for. Today, tomorrow, the next day, 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 to put that together. So you won't be hearings from me talking about this for the next couple of weeks because I have to put this together and I have to do the thought process. But I got it. I got it. I told you this is a year to sue, but we're not suing in a normal fashion. We're suing in a unique fashion. So, people get ready, for the train is coming. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, you know I don't know that song. You know I don't care about that song. I just like the way people get ready. I like that part. That's it. Once you get the mindset and understanding that tax credits are dollars and you have tax credits, then you should be able to spend your money any way you choose. So if tax credits are dollars, hold on, that can be used for offset. Let's see, where is the word offset? Because I specifically put up there offset. Hold on. Well, it's going of course it's going to give me the Treasury offset program. What is a tax credit dollar for dollar? What is a tax credit dollar for dollar? That don't make no sense. Can tax credits be used to offset to capital gains tax? The rule provides that tax credits can only be used to offset positive activity income, not active trade income or business income, W-2 investment, blah, blah, blah. Ladies and gentlemen, those are those rules. These are deductive tax credits, and of course they can be used to offset. Okay? What can tax credits be used for? Credits can reduce the amount of taxes owed and increase your tax refund. Ladies and gentlemen, can I buy tax credits? Hold on. Why do people buy tax credits? Hold on. Beyond the potential to deliver a high rate of return for buyers and reduce the effective tax rate, transferable tax credits can also help you reduce your total state income liability, diversify your investment portfolio because they're property. Okay? Are tax credits used for mortgage? Hold on. Lenders will typically take child tax credits, child benefits, and working tax credits into account when assessing whether you are able to afford a mortgage. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Now, as we said, research and development tax credit is a dollar for dollar offset. Yes, tax credits can be used to offset. Now, offset is a common law right, ladies and gentlemen. This credit can be used to offset. Offset is a common law right. I was just listening to a video last night as well, and the guy was talking about the judicial common law. Judicial common law is stare decisis, where people rely on Supreme Court precedent as if it were laws of the United States. That's not the way the law is set up. The law is only Congress. The law is not Supreme Court precedent. See, the Supreme Court comes up with a precedent. Congress is supposed to amend the law. It's not the precedent of the Supreme Court that we rely upon. It's the fact that Congress is supposed to go back and take care of things. Nothing in the Constitution giving the Supreme Court the right to make law, or any court, nor anything in the Constitution allowing their court cases to be the common law. But it's the judicial common law. There's a difference between the judicial common law and the national common law. Now, they say there's no federal common law. Nobody cares about a federal common law. There is a national common law. Go back and look at the 7th Amendment. The United States Constitution, the federal Constitution, recognizes common law. And it had nothing to do with no Supreme Court cases, because Supreme Court hadn't even been created at that point. Shh! Don't you tell nobody! So, there you go. So, how could someone be trying to get something from you, a couple of measly $100, when they're giving you thousands and hundreds of thousands in credits, which are, let's say it again, dollar for dollar, dollar for dollar, which means they are dollars. How can that happen? I don't know. Don't need you guys to comment. Don't need any emails. I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on. I'm glad I got to segue and talk about Will Smith, that thing again, because it has bothered me all year. Like I said, Will Smith, his acting, I appreciate, because when I watch his movies, including Emancipation, if you haven't seen Emancipation, watch it. The Flixer. Hold on. Hold on. The no space. FLIXER.TV. Come on, Flixer, what's up with you? TikTok, TikTok. Oh, there we go. And we're gonna do man S. Whoa, come on now. Okay. E. People get ready for the train is coming. Ladies and gentlemen, Emancipation, inspired by a true story. When you watch it, you'll understand. But you'll also understand that that ain't Will Smith. Okay? So take a look. Do so responsibly. Okay? Do so responsibly. Now, with that being said, that's what I say. Thank you for allowing me to talk to you about Will and his sacrifice. Do I fault him for doing it? No, because he knew the job was dangerous when he got involved. Will Smith purposely agreed at the very beginning because that was the agreement. And they kept their word. They made him exactly what they said they were going to make him. Okay, he's not at the end of his so-called career. He is still going to be wanted. Why? Because that's the agreement. They're not sending him out to pasture. He just had to fulfill his obligation. There was a time in my life where I would do a favor for somebody, or somebody would owe me money, and man, how can I pay you back? I like the TV series The Equalizer. I like the way he worked. Nobody paid him money. He said, I'm going to come to you in the future for a favor. And no matter what I ask, you're going to have to do it. And I would tell people, I am not going to ask you to do anything that you're incapable of doing, nor am I going to ask you to do anything illegal or to hurt someone. I said, I may simply ask you to pick up a piece of paper off the ground, but it will be something you can do. And quite literally, I did exactly that on several occasions. Just asked the person just to pick up that piece of paper, and now we're even. Okay, that was me. The industry works the same way. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You gotta have something. So if you want to be a part of the industry, you're gonna have to give up something. Every single actor tells you that. They let you know. But y'all don't pay attention. But y'all don't hear me though. I'm gonna say it again. But y'all don't pay attention. They all tell you about the industry. Why do you think so many of them do drugs? So many of them do drugs because of all the junk that they see in that industry. That wasn't their life at the very beginning. They weren't a part of all that junk. But I digress again. So you've heard about tax credits this video. You've heard about people saying we're taking advantage. You've also heard about what we're getting ready to do for just about everybody who has a mortgage, student loan, car loan. You just heard about all of that. So I think this is probably the most complete understanding of what we're trying to do for people and not to people that I have done since I've been doing videos. I don't know, but take a listen. All right. You all have a good day.